In this video I'm going to show you how I make my lips for my crankbaits. And so I always cut the lips out of aluminum, sheet aluminum, either 0.025 inches if I'm looking for a smaller lip, because it doesn't need to be as strong or sturdy when the smaller lips are made, or I'll cut them out at 0.32 inches when I'm making a larger lip or I'm fishing for a species that is going to be a little bit harder on the bait. So these are my steelhead lips there, so I make those. They're larger lips, and the steelhead are a little bit rougher on the lip. So I may cut those out at 0.32, and these get cut out at 0.025 inches. Let's see. So when I start and I make all my lips, these are my steelhead lips, these are my bass lips, I make all of them out of aluminum. Even if I'm just making like a jerk bait where I don't even have a pull point in it, you could easily use plexiglass or some sort of plastic for this. But the advantage of the metal lip, and in particular the aluminum lip, is it's very easy to bend, and when you bend that lip you get different kinds of action. So basically when I'm making my baits, I'll make the lure, construct it, and then I can adjust it by bending the lips to get exactly the kind of action I'm looking for or the fish are looking for on that day. So let's see a couple things here. The pull point, most of the time, most of my pull points I use just a dual lock swivel. Just slide it through there and connect it. Makes a great pull point. It's plenty sturdy enough to hold the fish. I've never had one of these fail, even on my steelhead lips. Works great. Gets a lot of nice action on there, like that. The other thing I use is a connecting link, which is sturdier and thicker, and I don't use that sturdier thickness because this needs to be tougher. Basically what happens here is the more free play you have at the pull point, the wider the wobble the bait will have. The tighter the free play here, the tighter that action is going to be. So on my bass lures or my walleye lures, when I'm fishing with those fish usually prefer a tighter wobble. So there I'm using connecting links just because I get less free play and there's less movement in that lip. That's going to give the bait a lot tighter wobble, which is what those fish like. Whereas when I'm going to a steelhead lip, I'm usually using the dual lock swivels because it's much thinner diameter and I get a lot more free play. So because I'm getting a lot more free play in that pull point, the lure is going to have a lot wider action, which is what the steelhead want. So let's see, how do I start out cutting these things out? So basically it's real simple. I always start with a cardboard template, because what will happen is, I've learned this the hard way, you make a lip that is really dynamite, you go out and you fish with it, it works great, you're catching fish on it, and then bam, something breaks your line, and then you're out of luck. You can't reproduce that lip, because very subtle changes to a lip will make a big difference. So I always start with a cardboard template. This is a cardboard template I've had for years and years for my steelhead lip. And so all I do is get a piece of sheet metal here, lay it down, trace around it. Once I've got it traced out, then I'm just going to use a punch here to mark my holes. And again, I want to be really precise in this, especially these pull point holes, because getting those off center or out of symmetry makes a big difference in the lure tracking or being tuned. So I'll make a couple of spots here, just mark that up. And so before I can even cut that out, I'm going to drill this thing, and that's how I started always. Drill bits for years and years and years. I've since now moved on to a little hand punch because it's more accurate and it saves a lot of time. You can get these little hand punches online for nothing. I think they're even like 30 bucks or something like that, maybe 40 bucks, but well worth it. Comes with a whole bunch of different sizes. This particular, in my steelhead lip, I have a 3/16 inch bit that I'm going to use, and that's what I already have loaded into this punch. So hand drill or punch in this case for me. Okay, got those holes punched out. These are pretty tight, but that's plenty of aluminum in between there to hold that. That's a lot of aluminum, still plenty between there to hold that lip. When I used to make these out of wood, you'll notice I have two holes kind of right in line down here. When I used to cut these things out of wood, all I would do now is attach this lip to the wooden lure via screws, just a couple little screws in there to anchor it, and that was fine. Now that I'm pouring them, I make these holes a little bit bigger like I have here. I used to cut them smaller to fit the screw size. Now I make them bigger so that when I pour them, the mold material just travels through those two holes and anchors the lip that way. Okay, once I've got the holes punched and all in line, then all I'm going to do is cut out a rectangular shape around the lip. Trying to cut the sheet aluminum while it's still in the sheet is difficult, so I just cut that out. Set that sheet aluminum aside. Now, this is just a real simple tin snips that cuts to the left and to the right. These are, again, really a cheap tool, nothing much to it. Now I'm going to cut out the rough shape, because making this turn with all of this extra material on there is difficult. So all I'm going to do is just cut out the edges here. Get it really roughed out. Now I'm going to go right down along my line there. If I had a bunch of material on here as I go to make this turn, that would be difficult. But because I got all the material off of there, really easy to do. Okay, so now I've got it roughed out, so all I would do now is take a file, smooth the edges. Okay, so we still have some rough edges on there a little bit, so the last trick is just steel wool. Usually I use a coarser grade steel wool, but I got the video camera set up, so I'd use a steel wool around the edges. Smooth those edges out so I don't have any burrs on there. Cut the line. Last nice tip about the steel wool is you can just also use the steel wool to shine the bait up so you get some nice flash. If you want flash on your bait, shine it up with some, I think this is 0 in the steel wool, the finest one. Shine it up. So there you go. Now I've got my lip ready to go into my mold. Now, you want to learn how to do this because when you're starting out, this is how you're creating your designs and you're monkeying around and getting your designs right. Now, after I've got a design dialed in and I figured it out, I don't hand cut all of these things. I have the machine cut. And so we just go to a CNC, take on my lip, go to a CNC and take on my lip, and then they just cut a whole bunch of them out for me. They come and I pop them out, and then I got a whole bag full of lips that I can use. But in the original design, or when you're just starting out, there's no need to do that. You just get some tin snips, cut the basic design out on the lip, and you can come up with any lip shape you want. You can see here I got a square bill, I got a coffin bill, another tiny little square bill. This is for like a Rapala style or a jerkbait style bait that I would put in there. So you can make any lip you want, and using aluminum, it's really tough. The other thing too about aluminum that's really nice, as these baits are swimming through the water, you know, they're traveling back and forth, and you don't want any resistance on the side of this bait. So an aluminum lip has huge advantages over a plastic one, because a plastic one this strong would have to be a lot thicker. This aluminum is going to cut right through the water with very little drag or very little resistance because it's so thin, you know, such a strength. And the weight ratio of aluminum is great too. You know, getting that light weight is really going to get it to get some great action on your lures. So that's how I make my lips. Thanks for watching.